What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at TFC-008, the Wings of Uranos set. This is the add-on upgrade set for your TFC Superion. Back of the box just kind of shows the added parts, all the pieces you get in there. Yeah, really nothing to look at there. So you open up your box, and you get all your accessories on two nice blister trays, one within the other, like so, for packaging reasons. But yeah, there's all your accessories. We'll look at them real quick in a minute. You also get one of these cards that everybody loves to include with stats. Who cares? And then you get this, and you go, good, the instructions, so I can see what all these little parts that some of them don't make any sense where they go. And so you unfold it, and it's a stupid poster of the upgraded Uranos. There's no instructions in this box. So right here we've got all the weapons laid out before us, and we'll start with the easiest things. But before we go on, considering we have no instructions or anything, you kind of have to look somewhere else. So you gotta look at like TFW or something to find prototype pictures to see, you know, which guns go with who. Otherwise it's gonna take a lot of time to sleuth it out. I'll put a link to TFW below where I found the prototype pictures to kind of match the guns to whom they go to. In terms of missiles, we've got 4 sets of missiles here for each of our 4 planes. I'm not sure which missiles go with what plane. I don't know if it necessarily even matters. I'm not an expert on planes or anything like that. So if I put them on the wrong thing, I don't want to hear it. I think they look good regardless how you do it. But anyway, you got, like I said, 2 sets of each of these missiles, and we'll put them on their jet modes soon, but I just want to show you each of them up close here. And as you can see, they are held in by like a 3mm clip type thing, so you can just unpeg them, and you could technically peg this on any transformer that has a 3mm clip if you wanted to add an extra missile on it, I suppose. So very simple accessories. In terms of the guns, you've got this one here, which if you look in G1 in the prototypes, this is closest to, I believe, slingshots. This one here, with the kind of double barrel thing going on, is closest to Fireflight. This one here, with the 2 top ones, is kind of Air Raid. And this one here is, why can't I never think of his name? Skydive, I believe his name is. And then of course you got the big gun, which goes to Uranos or Silverbolt. And you can take these wings off here and, you know, kind of change the look. So when you gave it to Silverbolt, if you want it to look a bit different, you got that as an option. And of course, if you really, I suppose, want, you can peg into all of these holes and make some kind of super large Power Rangers type gun going on here. I don't know if that floats your boat. You can do it, because there's really nothing you can do with these guns once you put him in his combined mode. So let's just put these back on here, and we're just going to put the gun to the side for a second, because there is something to do with this when you've got them all in vehicle mode. Right here we got the chest piece, very simple. The way it pegs on is actually with these little fold out pieces, and we're just going to leave them like this. This is the crotch piece. Special word of warning there. The peg is too thick to go into Uranos, so you can see where the plastic has actually been pushed out on mine. Yeah, you may want to either sand the peg down or open the hole a little bit, but yeah, just put them to the side. Then you got the face plate, and that goes for his chin, and on the other side there's just a tiny little divot where his nose is going to sit. Then you got these 2 plates, and since there's no instructions, it took me a while to figure out what they were. This is a neck cover for when he's in combined Uranos mode, and this is for Blackbird. I don't find either of these very good. I'm not going to show you this one because it's next to impossible to get off without taking the head apart. I will show you this one, however. But it would have been awesome if they had some kind of instruction so you didn't have 2 extra pieces and go, well, what is this? I didn't even know that this was a complaint, but we'll get there when we get there. So when you have this guy in his vehicle modes, I suppose you need something that you can do with this gun. So what you're gonna do is just kind of take the the crotch piece here, and you can plug it right on the back of the gun and do whatever you want with the wings. I fold them down like this, and then you can take this and if you put it the right way, you can plug it in like so to make some kind of winged gun vehicle, and then you can just add on every single extra gun here, so you have something to do to store it all. In terms of those neck pieces and stuff, what do you do with them? Well, nothing. You just kind of put them back in the box and don't lose them, which is ultimately what you're going to end up doing with these guns once you have them in the combined mode anyway. So yeah, there is our combined, whatever you want to call it, mode. So before we go too far into the review here, I did want to show the gun here, and you do need that regular peg thing to kind of peg it in to his hand once we get there. But I did want to show the TFC version versus the really crappy Eagles TF thing. Really just no contest. This just looks so much better. If you got this, well, you kind of probably figured out it was close to a waste of 15 bucks or whatever it was when you first got it. There's also this option to pop this out, which I'm not entirely sure because I haven't tried it, but it almost looks like it would fit the pieces of the Hercules gun that kind of plug together, but I'm not really sure, so don't quote me on that one. So let's start talking missiles, and we'll start with Blackbird here, or Silverbolt. Really, nothing going on. There's not even any place that you can peg that big gun in, so that's why they give the extra piece. I suppose if you wanted, you could probably find places that you could peg the missiles, like backwards on the SR-71. Frankly, the fact that it's got two Gatling guns in the front is just inaccurate, besides the overly white paint job. So yeah, pretty much nothing you're doing with this guy. So the next one we're going to take a look at is Slingshot here. And I am not for breaking the airplane, correctness. So I don't want to take off the landing gear for when your Harrier is, landing vertically. So, unfortunately, this means there are no missiles for me to go onto this guy. So next we'll take Phantom here, and I particularly like how these missiles look because they just kind of mimic that. And we're going to slide them forward a tiny bit because with his landing gears on the wings, these don't tend to really fit properly. So I just slide them forward first, plug them in, and then push them back as far as I can so they're even like that. And we'll do the same thing for this side. Slide them forward, peg them in, and then slide them back as far as it'll let us. Like so. And then when we switch back to our, top view, that's pretty nice looking with all the extra missiles on there. I really like how that ends up looking. So, yeah, pretty cool to add the extra missiles. Totally unnecessary, but I do like it. So next we're going to come over and we'll pick up Skydive here. Now Skydive, with his various degrees of armament here, I kind of like these black and silver missiles because they're a little bit different. So I'll just peg them right onto here too. Like so. And these ones you don't even have to adjust because there's just nothing in the way. And yeah. He's looking pretty awesome with his bunch of clusters of missiles going on there. I really like this. So now you're probably saying, okay, you should have 2 sets of missiles left. You didn't use one of them, so what are you going to do? Well, that's where Air Raid comes in. And Air Raid can't put these things anywhere else besides there or in his hands. So what I like to do is I take these off and I find whichever one of these has smaller tail fins. It's these white ones, so I just kind of end up moving them forward here because we're going to place them right here on the wings. And you can see that the back tail fins are small enough that we can still kind of fit the missiles on in there, and in my opinion I think it looks good. So we'll take that and we'll put them all the way forward like so, and put that on. Then we'll take the black ones and they can just be centered normally. We'll put them on the wings like so. And then what I do with these big huge bombs slash missiles, smart bombs maybe, is I peg them into his hands. And as you can see, they don't interfere with the little small missiles that we've pegged underneath. And then, yeah, for my tastes from the top view, we've got a really quite loaded jet there. And I just like how this looks. So you've now used all your missiles and everybody is significantly more armed up. So in our robot modes, we're going to put all the missiles back in the box. And conveniently, I note all the other stuff I tend not to use fits in the box too. So I have a really nice place to store it away when I have it in combined mode. Let's put that to the side. And we'll pull out Silverbolt here first. Now, I have him with his regular gun here. And the online forum that I've seen shows this kind of attached to the wing, which I don't think looks particularly cool. You can give him this one, but I kind of like him using the cockpit of his plane. For my tastes, we will go ahead and add this one though instead, just so you can see. But yeah, you can have him with the big gun if you want him to. They also show this being used as a shield, and without any extra parts handy, I can't make it happen. There's no way to do it. I suspect what you need is those little orange clear flight stand type pieces to plug in and hang down, and then you can probably put it in his hand. But I don't particularly like how it looks, so I'm not going to use it anyway. And pretty much if you use that gun, then this one becomes worthless and you put that in your pile of spare parts. Figuring that you guys know how to peg things in, here is Fireflight with his gun, looking pretty darn good. And we'll just put him right next to Silverbolt here. And oh, I wanted to mention this piece here. So this is probably one of the things that you guys might be wondering about if you bought this and you're looking at the video. So the point of this piece here is apparently the clearance between his neck and his head is a bit much, and people complained about it. I don't recall seeing that, but you can take this and just kind of slide it on in to that piece and push it all the way in. It'll clip into place, and I don't believe it has to come out when it's in any form. But the problem is when it's in, it really limits his head movement. He just pretty much gets left and right, so I don't quite understand why anyone would complain about this. And frankly, once this is up, to me it's not really that big of a deal. I kind of like my Superion, or my Silverbolt, being able to look around. But I'll show you that in greater depth when we get to Superion, because he's got one too, of course. So, anyway, there's Fireflight and Silverbolt. We'll bring Slingshot, who I've designated my lefty of the group. And we'll put him down there. And we've got Air Raid, right, or Skydive right here. I left his missiles on, you don't really have to. But, yeah, there he is with his gun. And finally, we've got Air Raid with his gun. And that's your group of aerial bots armed with their new guns. So here we have him in his combined form, and if you've been following me, you probably have seen that I did the Techering mod on him so you could move his chest piece up and not have to use X-ray. And at one point I thought that I was going to have to pick up a second Silverbolt, actually have a second Silverbolt, once I saw the Rings of Uranos set was coming out. The good news is, if you've done the mod, this set still works, so you do have the option to flip it. But let's start by getting him in position so we can put on the extra pieces. And really what we want to start by doing is taking all the limbs off here. And I mean all of them. We're going to take off the leg pieces too. And then our first task that we're going to do here, assuming we can get all this stuff out of the way, is we want to flip this around so we can have the proper side forward. If you haven't done the mods, you've already got the proper way forward. So we're gonna flip these so we can have the legs on properly here, like so. And then we'll put the proper order of our leg pieces on here. Scramble City doesn't ultimately really matter, but yeah, whatever. For posterity's sake, we'll put it the right way. So you should have it forward like this, so you have this little hole in the front. Now this is the part that I said doesn't really fit very well. You're going to take this little wing piece here, and you're going to plug this hole into our peg into that hole, which is really tough. Now I've kind of worn mine down by just jamming it on in, but really to avoid stressing any plastic, you should either sand down the peg or the hole a little bit. And this is just going to plug right on in here, and if you do it properly and not just jam it in, it'll probably fit a little bit more smooth with that line there than mine does, so I may have to go back and adjust it. For now, good enough. And that puts that crotch piece down there. And then what we're gonna do is fold this on down, if I recall correct. And we take this piece, and this is why we need to have the arms off, because we need to have these little red pieces here. And what's going to happen is this is going to kind of overlay, and you can leave the little white pieces on pointing down, or you can take them off if it really bothers you. For me, it doesn't bug me at all. So we're going to take this guy, kind of lay it on top here, and it doesn't peg into anything. What's going to happen is once we've got this actually situated on the top, you just kind of take these and close these red clips into his arm sockets here, like so. And that pretty much covers up the entire red piece of his chest and plugs that in pretty securely. So now we just gotta take everything and kind of put it back, because unfortunately trying to put it all together makes all this back crap just get unpegged. But there we go. So we got that together, and we can add his arms back. And really, this makes for a dramatically improved looking Cybertron. I mean, that extra chest piece here just looks really good in my opinion. Let me see, can I get any more height out of this tripod here? There we go. That just looks fantastic. I mean, from the bottom to the top, he looks like a big beefy brick. The only complaint I have is his tiny little thighs, but it can be forgiven in my opinion. But yeah, there he is. He's looking really solid. We're gonna take his gun here, and of course it just pegs right into the thing here. Now the problem is, you can see, or maybe you can't see, that the gun sits kind of on top of these gray bits, so you kind of have to mess with it a little bit to get it to work. I've heard stories that if you adjust the handle here and turn it the opposite way, you'll angle it in such a sense that we can now plug this gun back in with a slight angle on the peg here to accommodate too much. And get past that somehow. It doesn't seem to really want to work like that for me, which means that I think Cybertron might have to be left-handed. Let's see if it works any better in his slingshot hand, because the slingshot hand is a little more recessed, I guess. Not particularly. So, our next option here to make this thing work, and I think Cybertron needs to be right-handed anyway, is we'll take this, and instead of putting it in the second hand peg, we'll just put it in the third and stick it up just a little bit more, like so. And then we'll put this on. Or maybe we'll put this on first, because I can't get it to do it properly. There we go. Plug that on in. And now we'll plug it into the hand hole. There we go. So when you put it like that, grip's a little bit high, but ultimately it works. Man, it is super hard to see what you're doing when you have the camera sitting directly in front of your face. There we go. So it's a little bit high, but hey, it still works. And yeah, so here he is, a modified Cyprian with all the wings of Uranos, well, the important wings of Uranos parts on him. I said I would show you this neck piece. I'll show you this neck piece. Apparently, like I said, there's too much ball joint showing here. I don't particularly see it, but if you really want, you can take this and you just kind of slide it in until it pops. And now he's kind of got this little turtleneck thing. There's less chin space, but he also can't look up or down anymore. Just rotate his head side to side. So to me, I would rather just a little bit showing so I can get a little bit of posability out of his head. Because what kind of combiner shouldn't be able to kind of have that slightly downward look to his head? And of course, we've got the mouth guard, which I'm not sure where the mouth guard appeared. I can't remember if it was in just the comics or if it did show up in the TV show. I can't remember. I think there might have just been a toy variant that, actually I think all the toys had the mouth guard on it. But what you do is quite simply push it on in there, and yeah, it looks pretty solid there. Let's zoom in on that face there. I like it. I think it makes a cool, like, battle mask type look. Come on, cooperate. I'm having trouble with his legs here right now because even though his legs have been unfloppified, he still kind of has his issues. We need more upwards here so we can see his whole head. Looks pretty good. You can see I've modified the eyes and the visor. Personally, if you're going to put the battle mask on, you should really flip down the visor, and then it makes it look really good in my opinion with that mask on. A odd thing about this mask though, let me pull this on off here real quick, is that it's got this little red accents to it on the sides there, but once it's actually in his face here, you just can't see them. So kind of a worthless little detail that they added. Yeah, definitely not as good without having a visor down, and I think the solid visor looks way better than when you have that clear translucent yellow visor with the battle mask. So my final thoughts and conclusion on this set is I really wish there was some instructions on here to better show some of these little details of things that we weren't too clear of. Ultimately, it is a vast improvement to what we got from TFC the first time, but on the same hand, this is the same reason that I couldn't get behind their Ares, because it seems with every single release there's going to be an extra thing that makes it more like what we actually wanted out of the box. This is vastly improved over the whole X-ray fiasco, if you ask me, and the gun just looks awesome compared to, you know, whatever this is when it's combined. Yeah, if you have Uranos, this is a way more worthwhile set than the Rage of Hercules. I didn't review Rage of Hercules. I had it for a while and ultimately sold it because it didn't add as much to the toy as this does. This is Cyprian now. I mean, this has nailed it for me, and I think if you have it, it's worth having. Yeah, if you have Cyprian, it's worth picking this one up. I don't think it will sway your opinions on the toy if you're not a big fan of the TFC combiner and can't figure out how to deal with the floppy leg issues that a lot of these big combiners have. But yeah, if you have it, I think you should get this set. And maybe if you don't have it, it's influenced you to get it because it looks more superior on like. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I am going to pre-record for next week because I'm not going to be around for after Christmas. But I promise there is a review, so if you are celebrating Christmas, have a happy holiday. If you're not, you know, happy whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate. So yeah, this is T2RX6. I'll see you guys next time.